Earlier in June, I had this goal that I've had for a few years now, where I was going to upload a video every single day in the month of July. Just because it's summertime, and I just wanted to give you guys a lot of content. And I've had this goal for years now, and this year I finally decided, enough thinking about it, let's do it. So I was doing pretty good for a while there, but something in life came up that was much more important than YouTube or motorcycles or really anything else. You see, my best friend is a 10-pound feline cat, and her name is Willow. And last Wednesday, I got the news because she was sick. I brought her to the vet, and they told me she has lymphoma, cancer, and she doesn't have long to live. The vet told me I had options. He showed me the cancer in her stomach. It was bad. He told me I had options. He said I can do the treatments and maybe extend her life a year. It'd be plenty of doctor visits, though, to the vet. And it'd be a lot of medicine, a lot of bad days and good days. My cat hated the vet. I went there with my dad, and she was so scared of the vet, she buried her face in his jacket. She didn't want to see the vet. She didn't want to see the room. She just wanted to hide and be home. The other option was that we give her palliative care and give her prednisone and make her comfortable until she passes. And he told me maybe a month at best. You're looking more at weeks. She declined really quick. She went from being a cat full of life, full of adventure, and she loved to sleep in the windowsill and sunbathe, and she liked to run on the treadmill, and she was such a cool cat. I taught her how to pop wheelies. I would tell her to pop a wheelie, and she'd pop a wheelie. She was just the best cat ever. And I'm 31 years old, and I've lived my entire life with cats. From the day I was born to right now, I've always had a cat in my family. At least one or two. So I've gone through a lot of cats. I've saw a lot of them go, but this is the cat that I really bonded with. We got her when she was just 6 weeks old, and I remember her being so tiny, she could fit in the palm of your hand, and her head was like the size of her body. She was 6 weeks old. She was way too small, but I think because she was so young, she really bonded. I remember the day we took her and we brought her home, and she was sitting in my lap, and she didn't even fight. She didn't cry, nothing. I've had cats before we've gotten, and the whole time they're crying and scared and meowing. Not her. She just looked around, and with these big, giant eyes. Just such a beautiful cat. Such a beautiful cat. She grew up, and she was kind of small, but she had this massive tail. Like, it was just this bushiest, largest tail you could ever imagine on a cat. And she was just beautiful. Every time I showed somebody a picture or something, or everybody saw her, they would always say the same thing. Oh my God, what a beautiful cat. But they didn't even know that as beautiful as she was on the outside, she was so much more beautiful on the inside. She had such a beautiful soul about her. She loved me. She would let me pick her up. I could pick her up like a baby and cradle her in my arms. I could pick her up and hold her. I could hold her for as long as I wanted to. She wouldn't try to get away. I would pet her and she would start purring. I could walk in her room and look at her and she would meow and jump and run towards me. She'd greet me at the door. When I was sick back in April, I was sick for a whole week. She stayed with me the entire time. I was playing video games and she just sat in my lap the whole time. She loved to sit in my lap. When she got sick, nothing else mattered anymore. YouTube I couldn't care less about YouTube. I couldn't care less about my motorcycles. The vet told me that it could cost as much as 15 grand to save her life. And I was ready to sell the HP4. I was ready to make the listing and get rid of that bike in a heartbeat to save her life. But I knew that it was pretty much pointless. She was going to go anyway, and she was going to probably be in pain. We kind of caught it late. She wasn't eating. She was all skin and bones, or fur and bones. She weighed like 5 pounds at the end there. She was so thin. I spent almost $700 in vet bills just to find out my cat was dying, and then to call the lady to come over and put her down at home, because I wanted her home. I wanted her last day at home. I didn't want to bring her in a cat carrier again. I didn't want to bring her to a vet again. I didn't want to bring her anywhere that she would be uncomfortable. I wanted her home, so I didn't care what the price was. Come take care of my cat. And that's what they did. So we put her to sleep less than a week after finding out, and I was a mess, guys. I'm still a mess, but I was a mess. I said goodbye to her 4 days ago on a Monday. It's Friday now, and it just doesn't feel the same. You walk around the house and it just feels empty. It just feels lonely. It doesn't feel the same. And I've been just in grieving mode, and I wasn't even going to make this video, but even though I never announced I was going to make a video every day in July, I sort of felt like I owed an explanation a little bit. I love doing YouTube videos. I love my motorcycles. I love all of that, but I would have traded it all just to keep her. She was only 11 years old. She passed way too young. I got her before I ever even rode a motorcycle before. And now she's just gone like that. So, I know some people out there will think it's just a cat. It's funny because you think that. You think it's just a cat. And I probably would have thought the same thing if I was you and I didn't go through this, but I've lost people in my life, and this has hurt just as bad, if not worse, in some cases. It's just that unconditional love your pet gives you. So anyway, guys, that's pretty much it. If you have an animal at home, a pet, a cat or a dog or whatever, just give them a big hug and realize what you've got. Life is so short, and you always think you have more time than you do. You always think you have more time than you do. She was 11 years old. I knew I was going to have to say goodbye one day, but I thought that'd be like 7, 8 years from now. She was always so healthy. She was always a good weight. She always had good energy. But how I'm feeling right now is a lot of relief. She's no longer in pain. When she was sick and still alive, I would feel so much anxiety. I'd wake up in the morning and my heart's just pounding. Her last night on this planet, I actually spent it on the floor next to her because I didn't want to be away from her. I feel so much more relief now because I know she's no longer suffering. I'm sort of feeling at peace about it. And again, I almost didn't make this video. It's about a cat, and I'm labeling it grief. But to me, she was so much more than just a cat. She was almost like my baby. Like, she looked at me and she needed me. And I really bonded with that cat, so I guess that's it. That's the end of this video. Thanks for listening, guys.